This month I read so much more than I have in the past few months. I had definitely a new favorite book of the year, and definitely one of the worst reads of the year that I've had so far, and probably I don't think I could top it off. I am really disappointed. I thought I would love that book. Let's just get into it. Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. This took me quite a while. It is long and it is big and it is a very slow plot because you get so much information. You get so many characters, you get so many points of view, you get different measures of time, and you have every single detail of this story that could possibly exist. But what it is you're hopping from like 1914 and 2014 back and forth. You've got a main character who is an adventurer, a pilot. You follow her from like girlhood through her adult life to the end of her life. And then you follow in 2014 an actress who is meant to play her in the movie. And they have like historical family ties or like parallels. So that's kind of why they're drawn together and the story makes sense for the actress to play. So you're really hinging on like that actress's character development, knowing that from the beginning, but then you're mostly invested in the story of the adventurer. And it's just like a classic tomboy type girl who just wants to do her own thing and is not going to be constricted by the bounds of society. I didn't pick it up knowing that it would fall into LGBTQ plus books, and that was such a nice surprise, as it always is. Don't be afraid of big books. This is a note for myself, like, you will enjoy them, you can enjoy them, it will be fun, and when they're good, it is that much more rewarding. My book club book of the month, which it was my month to pick, and so I grabbed Outlawed by Anna North, because this, much like Great Circle, has been sitting on my physical TBR for far too long. And this is about a group of outlaws who are a chunk of found family, and they come together in the West, and it is very, very queer, but it almost feels like we are all found family because we are outsiders, rather than like we are all found family because we have something in common. And so that to me was a little bit of an ick. I will say too, I went into this having like really weird expectations because I love Whiskey When We're Dry by John Larison so much. And this has a very, very similar, like if you read the back of both of those books, you get the same vibe. And so this just didn't top that to me, but it didn't really have a chance because that sits in my brain like so highly, and it's one of my favorite books of all time, and I think everybody should read it. Not to say that you shouldn't pick up this, like if this is your thing, like westerns and queerness, like I'm interested in this, so this was a good fun read, but I just felt like it fell a little flat on like the meaningfulness of this group that you're focusing on. It kind of had a little bit of a Scarlet Letter beginning, and like that brought me back to that book and made me think I should do a reread there. But this was still a lot of fun, and it was a great book to pick for a book club and have people talk about it because there are so many characters that everyone's kind of bound to like somebody different. So that's really, really fun too. Next up was probably my favorite book of the year. Like, it is only the end of August, but I'm gonna call it Come and Get It by Kiley Reid is going to just take the cake and be that top book of the year for me. Like, I do not think I could possibly top it, and I don't even know that I could handle a book that would like be better. Like, this almost broke me. I had such a fun time reading the story. I loved our main character Millie, who is an RA in a college. She's slightly older than the rest of the students, so you've got a weird dynamic between Millie kind of like overlooking the rest of the peers that are living in her same situation, and then you're also getting the point of view of an adult in this like same kind of like mix up of the dynamic. I just felt like this book was funny. It had characters that you were rooting for and also being like, oh, please don't do that, girl. And it had characters that you hated. I don't want to spoil anything, but I don't know that other people are necessarily coming into this blind like I did. I picked this up knowing that I really, really like Such a Fun Age by the same author. And so to me, this had a total surprise queer plot point, which was another win. And much like Great Circle, I was just like, how lucky can I get in 1 month? And that relationship alone really had me questioning like boundaries and societal norms and all of these things that made me turn to my friends and say, you must pick up this book because we need to discuss what you thought about it, and like, do we have the same thoughts about it? You can't foresee like when a book is gonna hit that hard for you, but this reminded me so much of my college life and the point I was in college and the things I was obsessing over when I was in college. The dorm setup was so described in a way that I felt like I was picturing my own college dorm situation. There was no point of view that I wasn't excited for. Like, I didn't care who we were getting from. I feel like that's common when books have split POVs. Like, usually I kind of am like liking character A better, or really bummed when character A comes and I don't get to hear from character B or whatever, right? Like, no, everybody that you're getting here is equally interesting, at least to me. And I found this book to be so good that I truly don't think anything can top it this year. I did a ton of research after going and watching the new Fantastic Four movie, and I ended up falling on picking up Ryan North's current run at the very beginning though, and jumping into the Fantastic Four comics that way, which I do think I made a good choice. There are so many like purists out there who say you should go back and read like the original stuff, but I think I would have just been flying through those hoping to get to these more modern versions. And so what I think is likely to happen is I will keep reading these. I'm gonna go pick up 3 and 4 actually this week from my library. I was so glad that they had all of them. And I think it will feel like such a treat to go back and read those older, more original ones and find those other runs that different people like, because it is such a large community of people who like the Fantastic Four, especially now that they're like in the world, in the movies, and like more people are catching on to it, even though they've been here the whole time. Next up, this was absolutely the book that I hated. I had such high expectations for this, and it made me feel stupid. I was like, what am I missing here? Why don't I enjoy that? But I just think I didn't have a single care about what I was reading. And that unfortunately was Fight Club. Like, I will straight up unhaul this book. I will say, I do want to go watch the movie because I must compare, and I fully expect this to be a situation where I actually for once, like literally maybe for once, like the movie better than the book. I just was like, I don't care what this is symbolizing. I don't care about any of the characters. I want to puke while I'm reading it. I'm supposed to like this book where I'm from geographically, you know? And it just didn't land. So I was so thankful that it was short and I could just finish it and move on. But I will say a perk about reading this was it was yet again another book off of my physical TBR, which I'm really trying to knock down. Keeping in the spirit of knocking out my physical TBR, but absolutely pivoting to something that I knew I would enjoy, and that was All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. I have read this author from the Ember and the Ashes series. This struck that match, and where I am now ready to go pick that series up again and restart it and just read it as an adult. You're following 2 students who are like seniors at their local high school. Both of their families are running small businesses in their towns, and you're just kind of really getting to understand what it's like for these 2 people who are minorities in their town to live and to have found like comfort in each other and friendship in each other through like all of the bullshit that they're going through in their horrible community of just like bigoted people, honestly. And there's like an angle here of like one of them was falling for the other one and it freaked the other one out, so they got in a fight, and you have to work through that in this book. But ultimately you know that they've been best friends and that they're meant to continue being in each other's lives. So it's kind of just like an adventure of where will life take them and what are they going to do as they navigate the upcoming end of high school, upcoming college, what to do with their family businesses, how to separate and how to maintain ties with their families, with each other, all of that stuff. This is a book you should just approach with an open mind, and you will want to keep it on your shelf. I would recommend this to so many people. I don't think that you have to be an avid YA reader to read this. I think truly anybody would benefit from this story, and I really found myself enjoying both of these main characters for different reasons, and they do a really good job of like painting the picture of those other typical high school students, because you're getting 2 very unique, like grown up because they had to grow up too early main characters, but all of those side characters are a stark comparison to typical high school kids, which is just kind of weird and different to read as an adult removed from that experience. But that also made me appreciate both of our main characters here. Stumptown really stood out to me because, I mean, look at that spine. So I pulled it off of the shelf, and this also has to do with Portland, Oregon. So I felt like that was maybe a sign, like this was my Fight Club redo. I've also been watching and reading a lot of Revival, where we've got Melanie Scrofano as a cop. So like the angle of your main character here being a PI was really interesting to me because I've just kind of had that on the brain. But then also this week I went and saw Honey Don't in theaters, and your main character is a very Jessica Jones style kind of PI. So another thing I love, Jessica Jones. This was just like made for me, I think. So I picked up volume 1. I believe there are 4, and I will absolutely keep going. This was such a fun read. I will say it's got that like matte paper finish to the pages, and I did find the first 3 individual issues of the comic at the store after I finished this, and I did like a little comparison, and the comic book pages, like, no shot, they're so much better of a read. The color is vastly different than reading it in here, so I kind of like, it makes sense to just keep going to the library and getting these, but at the same time, like, the reading experience of the actual printed issues might be better. But this is just a really big case of like, how much can a main character f up for you to still root for them? I don't know, but I'm still here, and I think that's really fun, and you never know where that's gonna take you. So, all in all, that is a very, very large stack of books for August. I'm so excited. I am currently reading Margaret Stoll's Super Visible, The Story of the Women of Marvel Comics, which is another library book. This just absolutely jumped up to me off the shelves because of picking up the Fantastic Four stuff, enjoying Spider-Man. I read Marvel comics, I do not read DC comics, like I just can't crack that door open. And something as I've been getting more and more into comic books that I've been aware of is I don't know much about the jobs and the roles that need to be filled for a comic book to actually land in front of you. And so I thought that reading this, which is definitely giving me a history of like the whole existence of Marvel, it's also making me more familiar about what goes into creating a book and bringing it to life. And then because I don't understand those things super well, it's really hard to retain the names of the crews on each books because there are so many spots to fill and you're reading so many things, and sometimes you get first and last, and sometimes you just get last, and sometimes the cover doesn't even tell you. So I also wanted to read this and kind of become more aware of some of the people that I would enjoy reading books from. I'm really envious of the comic content creators that I watch who just like ride or die for certain authors, and they know that that can help guide them in picking up new series, and that's really just not me. I'm not there yet, but this is helping me. I'm a decent chunk of the way through, and it's also providing me with a lot of things that I now know I would love to dig up and go back to. Like, this is really making me question, why the hell have I never read or touched anything about the X-Men? Seems like something I should pick up. So I'm going to hopefully finish this in early September, and then I've got a very large trip with some very long plane rides, and I think I can knock out some other reading too. So I've got to pick carefully for my September TBR, but I feel like it could be another really good reading month. So I hope you had a good reading month and that you're looking ahead at an even more exciting one too.